Hi everyone, today we are talking about Bigby Presents Glory of Giants, and we're going into a deep dive on all of the feats. We know that we had a light overview of the feats and backgrounds before, but we are going to go way more in depth because there are a lot of things to these feats in particular. So I am once again joined by Mackenzie DeArmas.
Hello, hello!
Let's delve in. We've got some really juicy feats that
yeah,
have a lot of combinations.
These feats are meaty.
They're meaty. They're giant.
Yeah. We can start by going back to the two feats that were mentioned in conjunction with the backgrounds. As a note, you don't actually need to take these specific backgrounds in order to get these feats. They just kind of come part and parcel with the backgrounds that also appear in this book. So the first one is the Rune Shaper feat, which is associated with the Rune Carver background. However, if you have the spellcasting feature, you can get this feat whether you take the background or not. So this, as the name implies, allows you to tap into the magic of giant runes. You learn a set amount of runes that are all associated with different spells, and you can put those runes on objects and essentially add those spells temporarily to your spell list. You can cast them with your spell slots, and you can also invoke the rune to cast the selected spell once without using a spell slot, which is perfectly fun for expanding your spell lists, as well as a way to conserve spell slots. Someone who loves playing spellcasters, we love things that give me more spells and give me other ways of casting spells.
It's that little hint of magic I also like, that you are storing it. It's almost like you're creating a little magic item to yourself. Also, if you want to dip into, some of these spells are really fantastic. I am a big fan of things like Long Strider, adding that onto a rogue, get a little extra speed. But you've got Disguise Self, Burning Hands, Speak with Animals, Good Berry, Command, Entangle, Sanctuary, Thunder Wave, Fog Cloud, Inflict Wounds, Chromatic Orb. There's a lot to choose from.
Oh yeah, there's so much. There's super fun utility spells. There's some fun damage spells in there. It really lets you, like, if you're a wizard and you take this, you can take a little bit of that, like, almost druidic flavor into it. And conversely, if you're a druid or a cleric, you can take some of that wizardly flavor and add that into your spell list. It allows for a lot of versatility and kind of opens up the spell list without, like, opening the floodgates of, here, take any spell you want.
Yeah, right.
All the choices, chaos reigns.
So how do you get this feat? Because it says you have to be a spellcaster, or you could have taken a background. So if you're a thief, a fighter that doesn't have any spellcasting, you can get it if you are specifically tied to that background.
So you can get this feat by either taking the Rune Carver background at character creation, which is one of the new backgrounds that is in this book. However, you can also get it any other time you would normally get feats if you have the spellcasting feature. So clerics, druids, wizards, if you have spellcasting, you can get this feat.
But if you're like a thief, a fighter that doesn't have spellcasting, and you choose this background, still accessible to you, you get a little bit of that flavor of magic. All right, what is the next feat on the list?
So the other feat that you can get as part of backgrounds in this book is the Strike of the Giants feat, which is tied to the Giant Foundling background. But as before, you don't need to take that background in order to get this feat. You can get it if you are a character with a martial weapon proficiency.
How does that manifest in this feat? Because each of these has a different flavor based off kind of like the giant type, right?
Yep. So this is a feat that actually, when you take it, you choose one of the giants. So fire, frost, stone, hill, storm, or cloud. And that'll give you a little extra effect that you can invoke when you hit something with a weapon attack.
To give people an idea at home of like how many different effects you can get from this singular feat, one of those things is Cloud Strike, obviously tied to Cloud Giants. You get a little extra thunder damage. On top of that, there's going to be a saving throw. And after you attack someone and they fail the saving throw, you just become invisible to them.
There's so much rich lore about giants, and obviously this book expounds on a bunch of it. But it existed previously in D&D canon, so we had a lot of room to play with some really, like, tasty different versions of giants. And so cloud giants historically have been tied to trickstery, deception-like magic, and we wanted to create something that would feel like you were just tapping into a little bit of that sort of shrouding mist-like magic. And so, yeah, you hit someone, you force them to make a save. If they fail, you just vanish to them, which is great for your, if you want to get your sneak attacks in, or if you want to just sneak up on an enemy, have advantage. It's so much fun. Yes.
Yeah, with the fire giant, you've got fire strike. It just does an extra amount of fire damage. Frost strike, a little bit of cold damage, but on top of this, kind of slows your target down as well. Hill strike, again, you get more damage, but you're knocking someone prone.
Yeah.
And all this is tied to a saving throw. Stone strike, you can actually do a bit of damage, and then on top of that, you can give them disadvantage on attack rolls. And then finally, we've got storm strike, where you do a little bit of lightning damage, and then it has disadvantage on attack rolls after that. So you have all of those choices when you take the feat to flavor your character. It's like you're getting a bunch of feats in one.
So when you take the feat, you choose one of the benefits.
Yeah.
So this is a feat, a rare instance of a feat where you can kind of repeat it and take it again and get different effects that you can choose to invoke, which is super fun. So like if I were playing a character, I was building a character with this feat, I would take the giant foundling background and I'd get this feat. And then I would choose one of the strike options. Since we've been talking it up so much, I'll hypothetically choose Cloud. And so then I will have the Strike of the Giants Cloud Strike feat. But later on, if I hit 4th or 8th level, and I was like, if I decided actually I kind of want to try a little bit of that Storm Giant flavor instead, I could take the feat again instead of taking my ability score increase, provided my proverbial DM lets me, and take the Strike of the Giants Storm Strike feat.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love the variety in all this stuff. You really get to mix and match the type of character you want.
So the fun thing is you can mix and match, or if you choose the Strike of a Giants with a specific type of giant early on, and you actually want to build on and expound on that very specific giant lineage, the rest of the feats in this book actually build upon the Strike of the Giants feat. So it actually just allows you to tap into more of that very specific giant lore and giant power.
Yeah, so there are some feats that are required that you had previously one of those feats.
Yes.
Right.
So, for example, if you had taken the Strike of the Giants Fire Strike feat, then later on you can get Ember of the Fire Giant, which allows you to increase your ability score, as well as grants you resistance to fire damage, and allows you to replace your attack action with a magical burst of fire, which is super fun. Fire giants are one of those creatures where the flavor is very obvious, but also just super fun because fire.
Yeah.
So,
Yes. Agreed. Fire is fun.
Yeah.
So, after the fire giant, what is another iteration of that?
So Fury of the Frost Giant, very similar to the Fire Giant. It allows you to get an ability score increase, as well as resistance, this time to cold damage, appropriate for the frost-like nature of the Frost Giants. And this one grants you access to a reaction that allows you to strike one of your opponents with this frigid blast of air that not only deals a little bit of cold damage, but also reduces their speed.
I always like a little reaction
I
attacks.
love reactions.
Yeah,
they're so much fun. It is one of those things where it's like it rewards paying attention in combat, and you feel like you're participating even when it's not your turn. And it just makes you feel like, ha, suck it.
Yeah, and you get to punish the enemy.
Yeah.
It's the same reason I like Hellish Rebuke.
Yeah.
Only this is the frosty version of it. Yeah.
Just nerd.
Yeah. Perfect. So again, building off of the Strike of the Giants feature, you can later on at 4th level get this other feat built off whatever you had chosen. So if you've been choosing Cloud Giant, you have Guile of the Cloud Giant.
Yes.
Again, very sneaky stuff.
Very sneaky, very fun. Guile of the Cloud Giant sort of plays up on that sneaky movement utility feature that you get with Strike of the Giants, Cloud Strike. If you get hit with an attack, you can actually give yourself resistance to the damage of that attack. So all of it is just halved, and then you can just teleport.
It's fantastic.
It's so much. So like the
very
theming,
disorienting.
Oh yeah, it's super disorienting. The theming behind it was this idea of quite literally turning into a puff of mist.
Yeah.
And if you've looked at other ways that we've implemented misty forms and cloud forms into the game, one of the benefits of a cloud form is that you get resistance to the damage. We wanted to implement a little bit of that, and then also that ability to just sort of puff and move like the wind, so hence a teleport. So this one is probably one of my favorites. I am a sucker for the Cloud Giants and the Storm Giants, so this one was just super fun to think about and develop and create.
Between that ability and the previous feat of becoming invisible after attacking, you're just very squirrely. You're just all over the map, or you can't even be seen. It's really fun. All right, let's move on to the next one. I'm a big fan of, had you chosen the stone giant in the previous feat, you got keenness of the stone giant.
Yep.
You get a little bit extra dark vision, but also you get a really nasty
you
bonus
get to
action.
Throw more rocks.
Yes.
And like, you want the stone giant to have all the stones. So this is an interesting way of implementing a hucking a stone attack, but in a way that doesn't necessarily require you to be physically like super beefy, because the typical thing that you think of when you're chucking giants chucking stones, it's a massive like boulder that you have to hurl with all your strength. But we wanted to make sure that even if you got this as part of your background and aren't a martial character or don't have strength as your highest stat, you can still utilize this kind of attack. So we actually have it framed as a magical attack that uses whatever ability score increase you took with this feat as the skill that you use to, or as the ability score you use to make that attack, which I think is super fun and allows for a lot of flexibility in play.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, it's just fun. It's like, you want the stone giant here. Ho!
Yeah, and it could always be coming from a very unexpected source, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I cast rock in your face.
Perfect. And again, as we're talking about these feats, these all tie into, the 2024 rulebooks that are coming out next year. This is all compatible completely. Everything that you find in Bigby's is compatible with the 2024 core rulebooks.
Oh yes, yeah, 100%.
Let's move on to Soul of the Storm Giant.
Yes.
This one's pretty fun.
I, as someone who loves rainstorms and thunderstorms and lightning, this one's tasty. So this one, like with all the other giant feats, you get an ability score increase, but this time, as a bonus action, you can summon a literal storm around yourself. Sort of churns with that lightning and that thunder. It grants you resistance to lightning and thunder damage, and it also forces creatures who kind of stop in that aura to make saves or have their speed reduced.
Okay, and last but not least, if you chose Hill Giant previously with the strike feature, you can later on get the feat for Vigor of the Hill Giant.
Yep.
This is weird.
So hill giants are a little funky. Their main defining trait is they like food, which, valid, but also it's a little hard to build a feat around food. But we managed to do it.
Yeah.
We wanted to play up that flavor that they're connected to the elements. They're connected to the world around them, whether that is the earth or the air or fire or anything like that. So with hill giants being very much associated with the earth on account of them being hill giants, this feat has an ability that basically lets you resist things that would knock you prone or otherwise sort of push you over. The other fun thing you get with this feat, in addition to your usual ability score increase, is the feature of Iron Stomach, which is basically means you just can absorb more food and gain more hit points when you roll your hit dice.
Well, really, and the biggest takeaway I had with the Bigby feats in particular is the level of customization that you get for your character and how many different choices you get. You can kind of really hone in on the type of giant influence character you have. Whether you want a couple spells that you have inscribed onto a piece of stone or somewhere else, or your lineage makes you a little bit more trickster or a little bit tougher. They're very adaptable feats. I really like that.
It very much reminds me of video game skill trees.
Yeah.
Which is something that I find super fun. Just because you can have people who have the same background with very different ways of it manifesting, and I think that's something that is so much fun of having the same background but different ways of expressing it, different ways of manifesting it, and completely different character options and character styles. And it makes me so excited to see what folks build with these feats and their characters in the future. Yeah,
for me personally, I have a very hard time not doing a rogue with the appropriate background to, again, I sneak attack you, I go invisible, you try to hit me, I teleport away, I take the hide action. I'm just I'm dancing all over the place. I'm just a complete rogue nightmare using giant magic.
But a rogue could take the same background with the same feat, but take fire strike.
Yeah, get a little extra.
And all of a sudden, it's just they're dealing fire damage and replacing, instead of an attack, it's just a big burst of fire that blinds the person they're attacking, which also would let them be able to sneak around and do that movement. So it still plays to the rogue skill set, but it's a completely different style.
All right, thank you so much, Mackenzie De Armas. Thank you for having the big deep dive into Feats. We hope you all enjoy them. We are really excited for this book to come out.
Look, it's like we have a centipede in here with all of these feats.